Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time once again for balance changes in Once Human. It's been a very long time since we got a balance change. So today we're going to jump in all of that, where we get reworked bounce. Some guns are buffed, some guns are balanced, some guns are nerfed, some guns are changed, some calibration changes. So many to cover here. So get your popcorn and let's jump right into it. So yes, they have reworked bounce. The ricochet keyword will be reworked. Right now, after the ejection is triggered, it will randomly bounce to an enemy target within a radius of 15 meters. If there's no target, it will eject to the scene and then it can continue to eject for one segment. Each ejection will cause 40% of the attack power of the gun damage. Now, currently how bounce is, it deals 60% of your base damage, but here it says 40%. So I don't know how are they saying it's buffed, unless they meant 60%. Keep in mind these translations will be terrible. But now, if there's no target to bounce off, you can basically see it's gonna bounce in literally air. So it does like 1, 2, 3, 4 bounces. Then we have some gun changes. This is gonna be the snipers here. So a 60% chance of triggering a bounce on hit. It's no longer on a weak spot. You will get two bounces. You will get two bounces bouncing and then dealing 50% bounce damage to the player. I'm pretty sure this is the keyword and this is just a damage bonus on the gun passive. If it hits air, it will trigger bounce and the damage is reduced by 30%. If the target is a player, it is reduced by 95%. So looks like it will be kind of weak if there's no target to bounce off, but if there's a target to bounce off, then this damage reduction will not apply. Then bounce can hit the weak spot by 50%, so it's like it's just gonna hit the weak spot more than the body. That's what this means. For the SMG, there's a 25% of triggering bounce when you hit, ricocheting up to 3 targets. Damn. When the bounce hits the target, it will definitely rebound, causing 100% of the projectile damage. It will not continue to rebound after rebounding. English, bro. I can definitely understand this. Yeah. I'm guessing it can bounce 2 times and after that, it will not bounce again. Bounce damage coefficient is 30%. Just a damage bonus multiplier, I guess. When the magazine capacity is less than 50%, you will get bounce target increased by 1. So you'll bounce more. Instead of bouncing 1, you'll bounce 2. Not that I mean it will bounce more, but it will increase the amount of bounces. So it stays the same as it was before. And then we have the bounce Squidward LMG. Critical hits has 70% chance to trigger bounce. Each time the bounce is triggered, the gun damage is increased by 2% with a maximum stack of 25 layers, and 1 layer is reduced every 5 seconds. After continuous shooting for 2 seconds, the target will be boosted by +1. Because right now you can see crit hits have a 90% chance to trigger bounce. Before it was 90%. So right now it's 90% and in the new patch it's going to be 70%. So I guess they're nerfing this because if this wasn't touched, I guess it would be too good. But after the patch we'll see. And this is the display of the sniper bounce. The display of the Kumavink SMG. You can see, look at that, bro. That is literally laser beams. Pew, pew, pew. I think this bounce is now actually going to be great. Finally, developers, thank you. So, unique equipment updates. What's changed with key armor? So, tattoo pants. The ricochet can hit friendly units, causing no damage and automatically reloading 1 bullet. That's what this will do. It's basically a not throw away your shot mod to replace the tattoo pants, I guess. Hot dog shorts is bounce number +2. I mean, it's literally the same thing though. It's nothing changed here. Then sharp blade pants, we have number of bounce triggers is +1. It's also the same, so nothing really changed. Then we have module updates, and these are mod updates. So we have this mod right here, super bullet, bounce crit rate 10%, bounce crit damage 25%. It's the same mod, nothing changed here, unless they rename the mod. Then we have directional bounce, renamed to chain ejection. The more bounce segments there are, the higher the ejection damage will be, up to 45%, 7.5% each. So that's the bounce rampage mod that used to be. Ejecting loot, renamed to high frequency ejection. Each time bounce damage is caused, the bounce trigger probability coefficient is increased by 2% based on the weapon's trigger probability. Lasts for 5 seconds and can be stacked up to 10 times. So that looks like a new bounce mod. I guess we don't have the not throw away your shot anymore. That is gone. Next up is multiple bounces. The more targets you can choose for the ricochet, the higher the ricochet damage, up to 45%, 15% each. So I guess the more enemies there is, the more damage you'll deal. If there's 4 or 5 enemies, the max damage you'll deal is 45%. That means you need 3 enemies to get max damage, I guess. Next is Breaking Ejection. When the ricochet hits an enemy with more than 50% HP, the final damage of the ricochet is increased by 25%. Okay, so if the enemy is full HP, you just deal more damage with the bounce when it's bouncing off an enemy. Cool. Precision Shooting. After 6 bounces are triggered, the next bounce triggered by a bullet will have a damage coefficient of 100%. So this mod used to be great for anti-cars in PvP. Now it no longer triggers crit. You know, it's not going to be 100% crit now. It's just only a increased 100% damage. So I don't know, will bounce work now on cars, but we will see, you know. Now there's cradle updates, but it says cradle. Nice. Multiple bounces after the ricochet hits. The ricochet damage is increased by 5%, which lasts for 15 seconds and can be stacked up to 5 times. Before it used to be 10. Now it's going to be only 25% total. So I can see why they're doing this. Now we have tactical props, bug fix. The turret that has bounce effect is now changed. And as you can see, bounce machine gun can no longer trigger the effect of the character's current weapon. And then we have a new machine gun tower, shape-shifting specialization, I guess. The machine gun tower will inherit the player's current weapon and all its attributes. The firing rate of the machine gun tower is related to the model of the player's current weapon. Oh my god, that sounds broken, dude. The number of shots per minute of the weapon. So imagine you're wearing a bingo and you throw a turret down. What, is it gonna like snipe the dude with bingo's damage? That's crazy. For example, a pistol will be slower than a rifle. Trigger and randomness experience optimization. Oh boy. Yep. You know what this is. You know where we're going here. Remember, I can already speak about the silent anabasis. So random algorithm changes. Random effects on equipment sometimes fail to trigger continuously. Yes. Frustrating. Yes. Thank you, developers, for listening. To this end, we have adapted a new pseudo-random triggering algorithm for random effects. When random effect does not trigger, the triggering probability will increase, thus avoiding extreme situations. Weapon changes. Okay, let's get into it. Silent Anabasis is the first weapon. The triggering condition of Ice Crystal is changed to direct triggering by firearm hit, and it no longer requires the target to be hit in the Frost Vertex state. At the same time, the triggering probability of Frost Vertex is increased. So, Silent Anabasis, brother, this gun is going to be amazing now. No need for crit build anymore. You can now go in with elemental build. This thing is going to slap real crazy. The reason why I went with a crit build on this gun is because the trigger chance was absolute dog shit. And a lot of people hate me for this. I don't know why, but the crit build is insanely good, bro. Like a lot of people say, oh, you should go with a M4 Equinox instead if you're doing a crit build. But like, listen, I want the freezing ability and I want the crit damage. But yeah, the Silent Anabasis is going to be amazing now. Now, this calibration has been changed. After reloading, the first hit will trigger the keyword effect. The final damage is reduced by 10%. So now it's going to just trigger it after you reload and you don't lose damage, which is crazy. Then we have energy conversion. After being hit by a bullet, it will automatically reload a round of ammunition. Attack power is increased by 50%. That was the old one. And your attack power is increased by 50% within a 0.3 second cooldown. Now, I'm not sure if this is for one bullet. I guess this is just a slight nerf for SMGs or fast fire rate weapons. So I can see why this is happening because the Little Jaws is going to be insanely good now. So they had to do this change, I guess. Full adjustment list. Okay, so here's the fun part. They're changing burn basic damage coefficient from 10% to 12%. So burn is going to do more damage now as a keyword. Frost Vertex is now going to trigger faster. So before you would trigger it and it takes like forever to appear. Now it's going to be just instant. Then here we have weapon adjustments. Oh boy. There's a 36% chance of triggering a quick shooter on a hit, and the chance doubles when hitting a weak spot. This is Memento, by the way. So right now they changed Memento to 45% chance of triggering Fast Gunner when hitting the body and 80% when hitting a weak spot. Oh my god. Now instead of 40% chance of triggering extra bullet, so you deal double damage, it is now 60%. And they nerfed the extra bullet damage though, however. So when it consumes extra bullets, attack power is going to be 20% less. So it's kind of like a buff and a nerf for Memento, but they also changed the keyword item, which we'll get into later. Now the raining cache, reloading stays the same, but they changed it so that you will get attack power as you reload up to 8 stacks. And you will lose 1 stack after you reload once. So imagine you shoot 8 times, you just need to reload once and then just keep shooting 1 bullet, reload, keep shooting 1 bullet. You'll have that 7 stacks of damage, which is kind of interesting for the raining cache. This is going to change the game around a little bit with the shotgun. Nothing else changes though. The incineration, burn shotgun, the perclasm. So attacks deal 85% damage when you reload the Dragon's Breath thingy. So now they changed it from 85 to 95. And then they changed blazing energy damage is now 20% instead of 10%. But they nerfed the damage by 2%, which is 8% total if 4 stacks. So yeah, a little bit less damage. This is the Little Jaws SMG. This one is cool. So now before it triggered the Unstable Bomber after 15 hits, now it's going to trigger every 0.9 seconds. So you just need to shoot the target. Keep in mind, you can shoot one bullet and it's going to trigger the Unstable Bomber, which is just going to be very interesting for the SMG. They also kind of nerfed the bomb delay. So it's now 0.2. You're going to do a little bit less damage now. But they increased the Unstable Bomber damage by 10% here. So that's crazy. Then we have the Bisglance, triggers Frost Vortex after 20 hits. Now it's going to trigger after 15 hits, and it's going to be doubled when you hit the weak spot. Jesus Christ. These weapons are getting some love. Great. Thank you, devs. Good job, man. So Silent Anabasis is now getting a buff of 10%. Instead of 10%, we get 15%. That is already a something, dude. Now, it would be nice if it was 20%, but like, I mean, 5% is going to do some changes here, bro. This is going to change the gun a lot. And crit damage build is no longer going to be, I think, not going to be that useful anymore. Now, if you take a look here, if you break the crystal that spawned, instead of 300%, you're going to get 350% damage. Damage is buffed for enemies, but it's nerfed for players. Instead of 60, it's 40% here. And now you get 30% by just holding the gun instead of 20%. That's so much damage boost. You do get 6% less when you stack up the 3 crystals that you break. So that's not that much though. The gun is going to be super powerful now actually. So boom boom, instead of killing the enemy, now you just need to hit the enemy and it will trigger a damage in range with a 2-second cooldown. Damage is 40% to the players. So yeah, man, a lot of weapons are getting some love in this game now. Now we have the Last Courage. I don't know what this is. Is this a new gun or something? Optimize the implementation logic of the counter. After 3 hits, when the 4th critical hit triggers the bullet fragmentation, the counter will not be reset to 0, but it will count from 1. I have no idea what this is. I actually don't know what this is. Is this boom boom? Is it like, what is this? If you guys have any idea, let me know in the comment section. We have the Conflicting Memories Shrapnel LMG. So what's really changed here is that they buffed the magazine. So now it only needs to exceed 90 bullets. So you'll just get 2% higher shrapnel damage. That's all it does. Nothing really that interesting though. Okay, so now we have the Dusty. This could be wrong or it could be not, but Dusty used to be 55% before to trigger shrapnel when hitting in the head. So now it's 30%, but it says chance of triggering a fragmentation when hitting a weak spot. I think this means in the body shot, and it increases the chance by 65% based chance when hitting a weak spot. So we take that 30%, if you hit in the body, your trigger chance is 30%, right? Now, if you hit in the head, your trigger chance is going to be 49.5. So I guess this is how Dusty is going to work. If not, then I think people have been complaining that if you don't hit headshots with the Dusty, the gun is literally useless because like you don't trigger shrapnel. So I think they're just letting you hit the body shots now. So that 30% is going to be body shots. Now we have the Hammerhead Shark, 80% chance to trigger surge when hitting weak points, and now it's changed to 40% to trigger surge on hit, and 90% chance on weak spot hit. Now, I don't know if it's 90% or if it's adding to the base chance though. Like it doesn't say that. I will have to test this to know. Don't like blame me that if I'm wrong. I don't know, bro. 25% chance of triggering shrapnel on hit. This is Div Evo. So after you kill a target with the Div Evo, chances increased by 80%, which is going to be total 45% chance total to, you know, proc shrapnel after you kill a target for 12 seconds. But now they changed it to after defeating the target, a hit will trigger a bullet fragmentation that lasts for 4 seconds. Holy. So it's going to be 100% to trigger. Wait, what? There's just no way. That sounds so broken. I'm just getting it's either I'm getting baited or I don't know, but this sounds too broken to me. We'll see about this. When hitting a weak spot, the bullet fragmentation position is increased by 1. Okay, so they buffed the... When you hit a weak spot, you'll just get more shrapnel part by 1. So just increased by 2 seconds. That's actually big. That's huge. This gun is just getting some love as well. That is a huge boost, bro. That is a huge buff. Next up, we have the Crank AK. So after you kill an enemy that is fully burned... So I guess with full stacks of burn, the burning damage increased by 50% for 8 seconds. You get 2 maximum stacks instead of 1. I don't know. Crank is just still not that great, bro. That's not going to make Crank amazing. Giant Legend, Gold Lore. So here it is. Now, Gold Lore used to be 80% chance when you shoot in the head. Now it's going to be 30% chance to trigger Unstable Bomb on hit. and it's going to increase it to 90% when hitting the weak spot hit. Again, I don't know if it's going to be increasing it by base chance to the 30% or if it's going to just jump right into the 90%. I don't know. Because in some guns, it does work like that. In some guns, it doesn't work like that. But we'll see. So they removed the damage range from the gold floor sniper. It's just now damage only. No damage range nerfs. Damn. Then we have Black Panther. So it will trigger reload after aiming for 3 seconds. That's the old one. And now here, you just need to aim for 2 seconds to trigger reloading position. Cooldown is 10 seconds. Still, I don't think anyone's going to use a Black Panther because Bingo exists. So there's no Bingo nerfs though. Bingo is just sitting there without any buffs or nerfs. So that's good. And its damage got buffed by 10% here. Then we have Frostbite. It's getting a nerf. So now you have to hit the player or charge on it with impact twice to freeze it. Before it used to be just hit it once. So that's a nerf, huge nerf for Frostbite. And now with the AWM or the M700, this is the sniper AWS, increase the dispersion of hip and shoulder fire when firing continuously. I guess we have more recoil now. Damn. When you get procced by Frost Vortex, you get stuck with the Stealth Walker shirt. Now it's going to increase the range, but you cannot, like, you know, it no longer causes strong control to players, but instead pulls them in. So you can roll out of the Frost Vortex, which kind of makes Frost Vortex probably garbage in PvP now. Doesn't stun them anymore. No more crowd control. GG to that. Snow Camouflage Gloves got a buff, and you just gain a 10% damage increase, but 20% less damage to players. So buff for PvE, nerf for PvP. Gas mask got changed from 120%. I don't know why they say 100% here. I guess the devs don't even know their own numbers, but gas mask is 150% shrapnel damage now. That is such a huge buff, dude. It's definitely going to be better for Scar now instead of Beret, and for Dusty, gas mask is the way, or the gas tight helmet. Desert dust mask, this is a huge one. So when the gunner is triggered, you have a 50% chance to reload 1 bullet. That was the old one. And now it's 65% to reload 1 bullet, and you get 20% attack. They kind of moved it from the gun's passive because the gun's passive removed 20% attack. So it's not really like a... Memento still got a buff, let's just say. This is going to be the best key armor for the Memento. So yeah, as you can see, Tattoo Pants got changed from just... It can now ricochet friendly units and it can automatically reload 1 bullet. Now we have the Shrapnel crit rate mod on the weapon. After triggering the Shrapnel, Shrapnel critical hit rate is plus 1%, lasts for 2 seconds, up to 20 layers. Now this is gonna last for 2 seconds, and its crit rate is gonna increase by 2%, up to 15 stacks. Okay, so 2 seconds is gonna be something. You'll have some time now. That's actually a really good mod now that you could consider putting on your weapon. Now we have Precision Gunner. When you are in Fast Gunner state, the damage to the weak spot will be increased for 3 seconds, up to 45%. Is this just gonna increase to from 50%, or I don't know actually how it's gonna work. It doesn't say here. Maybe it's gonna increase like gradually, so like 5% each shot, or maybe 10% each shot, or I'm not sure how this mod will work, but we'll find out soon, I guess. Then we have Persistent Position. After defeating an enemy in the reloaded state, extend the position by 5 seconds, once per position. That is Fortress Warfare. Deep Deflagration, 40% critical damage to enemies in burning state. So now it got changed to, for enemies in burning state, critical hit rate is 8% and critical hit damage is 20%. Wow. Okay, so we get some crit rate with burn mods now. Okay. Okay. Now you know what to build your LMG with. Crit rate. That's probably for Crank though. That would be best for Crank. Accurate fast gun in the quick shooter state, weak point damage is 30%. And now it got changed to explosive gun. In the gunner state, critical hit rate 10%. Gun damage is 10%. Okay. So that could work for Predator and Memento. Like you can have both of them now with crit rate, you know, for PvP, for example. Like if you want to run Memento in PvP, this mod will be nice for it. We have Heavy Blast. Unstable bombs deal heavy damage to the target. Unstable bombs deal heavy damage to the target with a 2.5 second cooldown on the same target. Oh, so they're nerfing. Thank you for nerfing the stupid mod. You know how you get knocked when the Unstable Bomber gets triggered on you? That is now a 2.5 second cooldown. Thank you. Thank you. No more stun locking, dude. Now we have Delayed Detonation. Before the bomb explodes, for every 5 hits, the final damage is going to be... Well, it just got changed to 4 hits. We have Continuous Freezing mod. The longer the Frost Vortex lasts, the higher the final damage of the Frost Vortex, up to 60%. Renamed to Frost Creation. Ice Creation damage, Ice Spikes, Ice Missiles, Ice Crystals, 10%. If the unit is in the Frost Vortex state, additional 10%. So it's just a 10% damage boost. It's basically for Ice Spikes, Ice Missiles, everything. It doesn't see Frost Vortex though, but I think it will work for Frost Vortex though. Kind of confusing. They didn't include Frost Vortex, so maybe it's just for Ice Spike. Whatever's in the brackets here, but We'll see. Catch everything mod. The more enemies there are in the Frost Vortex, the higher the final damage of the Frost Vortex, up to 60%. It got changed to Frost Vortex final damage 20%. Each additional enemy in the Vortex, additional 20%, up to 40%. So I guess it's just 2 enemies needs to be in the Frost Vortex and you get 40% damage increase. Damn. So now these 2 mods are completely different, basically. It's up to you. Do you want to rely on Frost Vortex or do you want to rely on Ice Crystals? Head Guard. When HP is above 70%, the head is no longer considered a weak spot. So they will just deal body shot damage. That's what it was. Now, the lower the HP, the higher the damage reduction of the weak point, up to 70%. I guess still not going to be good though. Resistance advantage is going to be better. So the Butterfly will now inflict vulnerability and it will give weak spot damage, I guess, is what I'm understanding. We'll see about that though. Kind of hard to believe that he's going to give you a vulnerability. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this video. These balance changes are so exciting, actually. I love how none of the guns got like a huge nerf like Doombringer. Like a lot of people hated that nerf. Instead, they just buffed a lot of weapons. That's how it should be, bro. If something is good, then buff other weapons. Don't nerf that weapon, man. All right, ladies and gents, I'll see you guys in the next video and take care and peace out.